I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Really?
I'm doing good.
Oh, man.
You know, dollar.
Yeah. Last night, Damian Lillard played like he was mad at somebody.
No, he always play like
You're
that.
welcome.
No,
You're welcome.
No,
Yeah.
You had that.
Yeah.
Get that man credit. Get that man credit.
Did Skip just take credit for that performance?
You heard that too, Jenny?
You're welcome
Oh,
too,
my goodness. Thank you. How about we talk about what we saw from Dame last night? Damian Lillard said there wasn't anything he wanted more than to make the playoffs, and last night his game plan proved that. Lillard put the Blazers on his back, tying a career-high 61 points in a 134-131 win over the Mavericks. With the win, Lillard has pushed Portland into the A seed with one game left to play. Shannon, how impressive was Dame last night?
That was a virtuoso. That's what he's been about. Anytime you can get on a list with Wilt Chamberlain, you're in pretty good company because it's only he and Wilt on that list, Skip.
And what's the list?
Only two players to score at least 60 points
Three times
in a regular season. That's unbelievable. Skip, if Dame Lillard scores 40 points, they lose by 20. If he scores 50, they lose by 8 to 10. They needed every last one of his points. And yesterday, 18 of 18 from the foul line, 22 points in the fourth quarter, 3 threes. Even this is coming off the 51-point performance against the 76ers, although the 76ers was a little depleted. Skip, it was everything. I mean, I've never seen anything like it because it felt like a playoff-type atmosphere because if they lose this game, they no longer control their destiny. Someone else controls their fate. And Dame said from the very beginning he wanted something to play for. Give me an opportunity, okay? Adam Silver says, okay, if you're within four games of the the 8th seed, you have a play-in game. Dame said, I'm going to do you one better. I'm going to go get that 8th seed. And I'm going to have somebody come have to beat us twice in order to make the playoff. Skip, this was everything. I mean, he was doing it off the bounce. He was getting to the rim. He was letting the three go. I mean, we know he has range. That last three, and then all of a sudden I was thinking to myself, I said, you know what? That's Jesus masquerading as Dame Lillard in Adidas.
Really?
That's what I thought to myself.
Oh,
Did you think that was?
It was a miracle.
That's like you thought that for yourself.
Right.
You're like, I like dollar.
Huh.
And then after the end of
He
the
raised the dead on that shot, right?
Skip, you got to admit. I mean, I text Steve, my chief research guy. I said he might go get that mythical 63. He's like, nah, I don't think he's gonna have the legs. I was upset. I got upset when they passed the ball to C.J. McCollum at the end. I want Dave to shoot those 2 free throws, Skip, but it was everything that they hoped for. And given that C.J. is nicked up, Skip, his back, he says he has an injury in his back, and he gave them 8 points. He was a minus 25.
Yep.
Basically, that game came down to 2 people. It came down to Dame Lillard and Carmelo. Carmelo even turned back the hands of time. But Dame Lillard was special. And you know, in the NFL, Skip, you hear him holler, what time is it? It's game time. In Portland, when you ask him what time is it, it's Dame time. Dollar bill, y'all. Get on the board. Hey, Skip, just go ahead and say, you know what, Dame? I apologize. I'm sorry. Sometimes
Sorry for what?
Sorry. I doubted you, Thomas. Oh, doubting Thomas. You read that story in the Bible.
Okay, are you done?
I'm done.
Now, let's get to what really happened.
Okay, what really happened?
Thank you. I did tweet at the end of the game, great game, Dame, because for most of the game, almost all of the game, he was all-time great. I've never seen such a shooting performance, and to your point, they needed every last point. He made 9 threes, some of them from Key West, and he made all 18 of his free throws, and I love that the most. That's what I respect the most because they are called free throws. Yeah. They are free to be made, and he made all 18, and they needed them because they got outshot from the three-point line 20-15.
Right.
Zinger is out there just zinging them. And again, from the free throw line, Dallas at least matched basically Damian, but it was tied at the free throw line.
Right.
So they needed all these points.
Right.
And to your point also, CJ, I don't know how bad, it's a non-displaced fracture.
Right.
I don't know, it's one of those micro fractures, but I'm sure it
painful.
It just
probably more annoying than
irritates
anything. Yes.
Yeah, I agree. And he looked irritated last night because he shot 3 for 14 and scored a grand total of 8.
Right.
And usually he's 20-something, so you have a running mate.
Right.
Okay, so I give you all of the above. But I can't go virtuoso like you just went. I'm not going to gush quite the way you just did because I'll give you this. For the first 46 and a half minutes, Damian Lillard was all-time sensational. But for the last minute and a half of that game, and I cannot tell a lie, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be objective, and I'm about to back it up, he was lucky and shaky, shaky and lucky. And can we start with 129 left? Because he shoots a three, which he launches from 33 feet, which is basically from Cape Canaveral.
Yep.
And
He
if we can
launched
see
it.
this, he launches it so far and so hard, it back irons so hard, it goes up 2 backboards high. I'm not going to call it quite as lucky as the Kawhi shot that ended Game 7 against Toronto last year. Remember that?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
Yeah.
I mean against Philly. From Toronto. But I will say this. In all my years of covering basketball, dating back to the mid-1970s here for the LA Times, I have never seen a shot bound that high up off the rim and go through, because the margin for error as it plunges back to earth, it has to touch nothing, because if it touches any iron on either side, it's going to bound out because it's coming down so hard.
Correct.
There was nothing soft about the shot on its descent.
Right.
So it goes straight through, and that's a lucky shot that tied the game. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it tied the game.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. So then we come down to the other end, and Porzingis gets called for an offensive foul, which I thought was an offensive foul. And Porzingis is gone from the game. And all of a sudden, a 7'3" rim protector is out. So to Damian's credit, he comes down and makes a nice, sweet little bounce pass, if we could see that, to Whiteside, who is uncovered at the rim because there's no unicorn. It's just wide open in the lane. That's about as easy a dunk, and it's a nice pass.
Right.
Saw the right, it's the right basketball play. So way to go. And that gives them, that gives Portland a 2-point lead. Then your man Luka comes down, misses the first free throw. I'm about to get to how that mattered in a minute.
Right.
Made the second one. And then here comes Dame Dollar down to make the money shot, if we could see that. This is the one that's going to clinch overtime. This is going to ensure a 3-point lead. And he goes up and he misses that one. So that was the money shot that would have at least clinched overtime. And here comes Dallas, down only 1.
Right.
And what did your man Luka do? He went LeBron James. He was afraid of the free throw line because he's a 75% free throw shooter, and he had just missed a big one. And he decides, I got to make the right basketball play, the right pass. I'm going to do the right thing, and I'm going to kick it underneath to a Trey Burke cutting down the baseline.
Right.
Except Trey Burke was a little too far underneath the basket, and so he glances, Trey Burke does, and realizes Dorian Finney-Smith, who has already made 3 out of 5 threes, is wide open in the corner. Mr. Sharp, why was he wide open in the corner? What happened to our man Damian at that point? Dame was lost. Dame was just sort of floating and had started to come into the lane to, I don't know, deal with Trey Burke.
Right.
And he left Dorian Finney-Smith wide open in the corner. And Trey Burke kicks it to him and then does a very weird thing. He veers to his right and decides, I guess at the last second, maybe I need to try to screen Dame a little bit.
Well, Skip, he had to veer to his right because if he'd have kept going straight, he'd have been right in the direct sight of the shooter.
Okay, I got it. But he said, I'm going to get out of his way.
Right.
But also, I think at the last split second, he thought, well, maybe I should at least try to shield Dame a little bit.
Right.
And instead, he made contact, fairly significant contact. But Rick Carlisle said immediately after the game that on their iPads sitting on the sideline, that as they reviewed the play, he said Dame flopped. He suggested that Dame deserved a fine for flopping. And yet the offensive foul call on Trey Burke cancels Dorian Finney-Smith. He nails it, man.
Right.
He nails it, and it's going to be, you're in trouble because you're going to be down 2 with 4.5 seconds left. Maybe Damian goes down and hits one. I wanted to see it. I wanted to see that. That would be the crucible of pressure. And Damian continues to tell me, hey, since I came into this league, I'm as clutch as any player in this league. So I wanted to see that, and I didn't get to, because even Vince Carter said on TNT after the game on Inside the NBA, he said, you cannot make that call to decide the basketball game.
Was it a foul?
Yep. It was
you
a
make
foul.
that call then?
Okay, so it's close. It's a flop foul, but I'm going to go with you. I probably would have, so to speak, thrown that flag.
Right. I think the
called it.
thing was, Skip, is because, like you said, he kicked the ball, and so he doesn't want to be in the line of his shooter. He tries to veer. I think he doesn't realize that Dame is that close to him. And so he veers because he's not looking. He kicks the ball, and he's kind of looking at Finney Smith.
Yep.
And he collides into him. And that's the problem, Skip, and that's what I say about officials. If it's a flag in the first quarter, you don't say, well, this team is down 20 points, and here we got 2 minutes left. I'm not going to throw the flag. If it's a foul, it's a foul. That was a foul. He ran him over.
The painful irony was there was no need to run him over.
True, I agree.
Dame was lost on the play.
Yes.
He was out
He
of the
couldn't have got
play.
back.
He could not have gotten there.
No.
So it's a completely unnecessary attempted pick, screen, shield, whatever you want to call it, that turns into an offensive foul that loses the game.
That's different than the Dwight Howard, because Seth Curry could have gotten there and contested Danny Green's shot.
Well,
So
he could have, and Dwight grabbed his jersey.
But that was also foul. But that was different than that. I don't believe Dame could have recovered and got that and contested that shot.
Okay, so just to be fair and accurate here about everything you just said, virtuoso performance, it was until the last minute and a half in which Damian Lillard missed two big shots, I think, and one of them luckily went in. And he made one nice dish to a wide open Whiteside.
Right.
And then he would have been the quote unquote lowercase go to the game. He would have gotten